Emily Thompson, 35, was a highly regarded senior attorney in her field. With sharp insight and exceptional professional ability, she had built a thriving career in law. Yet behind her polished and successful exterior, her family life remained a shadow that never quite lifted. Her father, David Thompson, ran an auto repair shop. For years, he had worked amid grease and the constant roar of machinery, growing increasingly rough not just in manner, but in emotional connection. Her mother, Linda Thompson, was a car salesperson who spent her days navigating clients, cultivating a shrewd and calculating personality. Her younger brother, Jack Thompson, had been spoiled beyond measure, idle, directionless, and lacking any sense of responsibility. One ordinary evening, the family sat around the dinner table. David's face was dark as he suddenly slammed a stapled document onto the table, the gesture more like delivering a verdict than sharing a meal. "You owe this family $150,000 in rent," he said coldly, tapping the paper with 2 fingers. "Every cent, or you move out." Linda raised her wine glass, her expression indifferent. "Starting now, we're charging interest 13% per month, just like any proper landlord." Emily stared at them, a mix of shock and cold disbelief settling in her chest. Then her eyes caught a small line at the bottom of the page, a timestamp from a local print shop. That meant the so-called rent bill had been prepared before she even came home. This wasn't spontaneous. It was staged, carefully orchestrated, like a trial waiting for her arrival. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. Slowly, she set down her utensils, folded the document neatly, and let her gaze pass over each familiar yet strangely distant face. David looked smug, as though he had finally found a way to control her. Linda remained cold, as if declaring that family meant nothing in the face of profit. Jack sat to the side, stifling a laugh, already eager to turn this into a joke for others. Emily stood and walked to what used to be her room. Inside, most of her belongings were gone. The bookshelf she had built in high school had been removed. The photo of her winning a debate championship had disappeared. In the hallway, the family portrait still hung, but someone had drawn a large red X across her face with a marker. The sight pulled her back years. Back when David's repair shop had faced collapse after a major mistake, dragging the family into a costly lawsuit. Back when their finances had crumbled and the mortgage teetered on the edge of default. Without hesitation, Emily had sold her work laptop essential to her career and the camera she had saved to summers too. She had quietly handed the money to her mother, just to spare her father the humiliation. And now, the very people she had once protected treated her like a stranger, worse, like a target. She packed her things and dragged her suitcase downstairs. David immediately blocked the door. "Where do you think you're going?" "Out," Emily replied flatly. "Until you decide whether you want a daughter or a tenant." Linda crossed her arms. "If you walk out tonight, don't expect to come back like nothing happened." A hollow feeling settled in Emily's chest. Nothing had happened. Hadn't this entire performance been theirs? Jack scoffed. "You're overreacting. Everyone pays rent." "Then you go first." Emily shot back, her eyes sharp. "Show me your bill." Jack froze, glancing nervously at their parents, suddenly speechless. In that moment, Emily understood everything. This had never been about fairness. It had only ever been about her. She left without looking back. That night, she slept in her car in a supermarket parking lot, restless and cold. The next day, she used reward points she had been saving for a vacation to book a week at a hotel. During that time, she blocked all contact from her family, leaving only emergency access open. She reached out to her longtime friend, Emily Davis, a rational and sharp-minded professional in finance, pouring everything out: the fabricated rent bill, the calculated setup, years of manipulation. She finally let it all spill. Emily Davis listened quietly, her brow furrowed. "This isn't just family conflict," she said at last. This is premeditated control. Don't appeal to emotions, they don't operate that way. Use what they understand, evidence, and leverage. Taking her advice, Emily began compiling records of everything she had contributed over the years. Transfers, messages, bank statements, every forgotten act of support turned into documented proof. By the end, it was undeniable. What she had given far exceeded the so-called $150,000 rent. A week later, she contacted her father, 7p.m.tonight.kitchen. Everyone present. David replied, "Bring your first rent payment." Emily read the message and let out a quiet, humorless laugh. That evening, dressed in a sharp, professional suit, she walked back into the house with calm confidence. David sat at the head of the table, Linda and Jack beside him, all three wearing expressions of quiet disdain as if certain she had come to surrender. Without a word, Emily placed a thick folder onto the table. Inside were all her records. One by one, she laid them out, every financial contribution, every time she had stepped in to save the family. The numbers spoke for themselves. Each page landed like a slap. David tried to interrupt, but she cut him off coldly. "You fabricated a rent bill before I even walked through the door. Who's really manipulating who?" Linda's face paled. Jack lowered his head, unable to meet her eyes. Emily's voice was steady, precise. "You want rent? Fine. But first, you sign a statement acknowledging everything I've contributed and admitting the rent bill was fabricated." David slammed his hand on the table. "Don't push this too far. Too far." Emily's gaze didn't waver. "After everything I've given, this is what I get: calculation and humiliation. Today, you take responsibility." Silence stretched across the room. Then Linda, hands trembling, signed. David hesitated but followed. Emily collected the document, her expression calm. "This is only the beginning," she said. "I won't let you hurt me again." And she walked out. But it didn't end there. A few days later, Jack called, panic in his voice. "Emily, something's wrong. Mom and Dad's business, the house, we might lose everything. You have to come back." When she arrived, the truth unfolded quickly. Her parents had secretly diverted business funds and taken on additional loans to finance Jack's startup. Now the shop was failing, mortgage payments were overdue, and foreclosure loomed. She looked at them, her frantic parents, her lost brother, and felt a complicated weight settle inside her. Once, she would have stepped in without hesitation. Now, she knew better. Some forms of help only deepen the damage. She took a slow breath. "This is the result of your choices," she said. "I won't blindly save you anymore, but I can give you options. What you do next is up to you." She placed a detailed plan on the table. Then she turned and left. Emily understood now this wasn't just about money or dignity. It was about reclaiming herself from the illusion of family and choosing her own life. From that moment on, she was no longer someone they could exploit. She was someone who controlled her own fate,